Hello, and welcome to Reddit Relationships. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Now, it's story time. Roommates have a threesome with my friend's fiance in front of him on his birthday. First of all, sorry for any mistakes, as English is not my first language. So this story didn't happen to me, but to a good friend of mine. He is a real player, never in a relation for too long and always with beautiful women in their 30s, even though he is my age, 50. I met him some years ago, but we only became closer more recently, and he always seemed a little envious of the relation I have with my wife, so, one day I had to ask him what was up with him. That's when he told me his story. He was in his middle 20s, fresh of university with a degree in architecture, and was living with two class colleagues as roommates. They were all really close, and, when they graduated, they wanted to do something together. But they had no money to start an office. My friend's godfather knew about their plans, sat him down, and told him he would help them out, with the condition the firm would be solely in his name until the other's 2/3 were repaid in full. As for the third of my friend, his grandfather told him it was a gift to him. He talked to the roommates and they agreed. So they started the firm, with him temporarily as sole owner. But, as interesting as this might be, it's not why you are reading this, but this will be important later. So let's dive in. My friend had been dating a girl and he was head over heels. He said that she was the perfect blend of a lady at the table and whore in bed. She was kinky and he loved to explore intercourse with her. They role-played often. Sometimes they had some soft BDSM, he wasn't very into that stuff but would do it to make her happy, and she sometimes, in the middle of the deed, would start to dirty talk to him and saying how she would like to have another guy with him so she could get DP, and asked him if he wouldn't like to see her lose her mind like that. He would go along with it, as a fantasy. But for him a fantasy was just that. It made her hotter, and he enjoyed the intensity of intercourse when she was like that. She sometimes asked him if he would like to see her with another guy and start describing what she would do in front of him. But that was all in the realms of fantasy. But, out of the bedroom and fun times, they never discussed something like that and, for my friend, it was just dirty talk, and nothing else. He was working like a maniac so that he could get a house so they could finally move in together. It was his main objective. The firm started getting some small jobs and was shaping up nicely and he finally had everything lined up. Then came his birthday. She asked him what he wanted to do, and he said nothing much, just hang around with her and some friends, maybe have a barbecue, but nothing much. She told him she would take care of everything and for him not to worry. She would make it a day to remember. And he couldn't be happier. The day before the party he finally got the house, they were both ecstatic and started planning to move in together right away. The next day he got up work early, with his two roommates and associates, and headed to her house for dinner. When they got there she was dressed in a very short and tight dress that apparently had nothing underneath, at least on the top, where it transparent and it was almost like she was naked. He was upset with her and called her to the kitchen and asked her if she didn't know more people was coming, but she told him to relax, she was at her own house and wanted to feel at ease, to not make a storm in a glass of water over this. He asked her who else was coming and she said no one. It was just the four of them to celebrate him. His best friends and her. Well, they didn't, they drank, probably a bit too much, and he started to note that she was openly flirting with his flatmates. He was getting annoyed, but it was only playful adult banter. At some point she got up, put on some music and started dancing in the living room. Of course, the way she was dressed, dancing. The other guys couldn't take their eyes off her, and they weren't even disguising it. His mood started to really change. She noticed and asked him what's wrong, baby? And he told her she was making him uncomfortable. She just laughed, extended one hand to one of his friends calling him come dance with me. My boyfriend is too moody today, as it seems. The guy got up and started dancing with her. In no time at all they were grinding each other as they danced, with her provoking him in a way that would be difficult for any guy to resist. My friend just sat there completely pissed off, and she looked at him and just laughed. Then she turned to the other friend and pulled him out of the sofa he was sitting on and in no time she was dancing and grinding in the middle of both of them. She started to kiss one. My friend just got up and asked what the hell? But she turned to him and said honey, this is my house and what is going to happen is going to happen, so, if you want to leave, leave, if you want to stay, shut up, sit down and enjoy the show, day. And that was the moment something broke in him. The moment he went from loving her to pure disgust. He sat down. Looked at his friends, in the hope to stop what was happening, but they just smiled at him as they undressed her and began a threesome right in front of him. He said he couldn't feel anything at that point, just like he went numb. As things progressed, He says he just felt disgusted. It was like watching a bad scene on a porno. And she was really enjoying herself, letting them have their way with her in any way they pleased, including some DPs. He says that one of the things he remembers most was the smell of intercourse and sweat that was completely nauseating. When they finished, the guys just got up and went to the kitchen to get some drinks and she went for a shower. He just didn't move. She came back, naked, while they were chatting away and drinking in the kitchen. She fell down on her knees in front of him, with a smile of joy in her face and said, "Oh, honey, don't be sad. It's your turn now," and went to unbuckle his belt. He caught her hand and went for the promise ring, sliding it off her finger. "What are you doing?" she asked, annoyed. "Taking back what's mine and leaving the trash behind," was his answer. She was shocked. He got up, got his coat, put the ring in his pocket, took her key and threw it at her and walked out the door without another word. Went to the shared flat in a hurry, got his stuff. There wasn't too many things, just clothes, a laptop, and all along his phone was blowing up with calls and texts from her and his roommates. As he was leaving, the roommates arrived and called out to him, but he just drove away. When he got to what was to be his future family home, he finally broke down. The next day she was at the door, saying that she knew he was inside and that they had to speak, that she was sorry, that she thought it would turn him on, that they had fantasies about it and she thought he would really enjoy it, that she did it for him, that this was just a big mistake. He just sent her a text saying that she disgusted him and he never wanted to see her face again, and if she didn't leave he would call the police. He spent a week alone, in an empty house, sleeping on the floor, and only going out when he had to get something to eat. 1 week later he went back to the office, called his 2 former roommates into the conference room, told them in no uncertain terms that what they had agreed upon, as far as the firm was concerned, was off. He was the sole owner and they were fired. The guys argued, said it was not their fault. She had told them that he wanted this and that if he acted like he was in a bad mood it was all part of the fantasy, but he was having none of that. He just got rid of them. I ended up asking him why he stayed. He said he stayed because if he had left they would have either stopped or lied about it afterwards. And, as much as it revolted him, he wanted to know the truth and the extent of what would happen. He never thought that 3 of the people he most trusted in this world, including the woman he wanted to spend his life with, would do something like this. He had to see it to believe it. He wouldn't otherwise. He never trusted a woman again. For him, they are all just something to use and throw away, even if one of the things he always wanted was a family. But she broke something in him and he simply can't trust women on a personal level. And I admit I used to feel a little jealous for his lifestyle, but after he told me his story, I'm just sorry for him.